Welcome into the NBA Morning Deuce. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. It's the Morning Deuce, so you know. The morning after. Opening night in the NBA has come and gone. We got one solid game, one terrible game. But it doesn't matter because, Alec, I was thinking about it as these games were going on tonight. First night of NBA basketball, 2 games. We watched 5 of the top 10 players in the NBA play basketball tonight?
I think that's fair. I think we did.
I mean, arguably 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA play basketball tonight. I mean, it was just great. It's just so fun to have basketball back, especially even though we both got pounded out on our bets from tonight. Both 0-3. I think both realizing real quick on this podcast that betting in the regular season a lot harder than betting during the playoffs. Both start our bets 0-3 on the season, but it's okay because we will continue to bet.
Of course,
we will continue to bet. It's hard to know what's going to happen in game 1.
I have a new tradition starting tonight. Anytime I go over, I'll be wearing my jabroni T-shirt. It turned out to be a gigantic jabroni in my picks tonight. Yep. So hopefully I don't have to pull this thing out too much, but not a good betting night.
Not a good betting night for either of us. And part of that is because this is a good transition. We'll get right into it. The game that just ended, Clippers beat the Lakers 116-109. We both had the Lakers covering, what was it, 2.5 when we picked it?
Yes.
It was either 2.5 or 3, depending on where you bet it. I texted you. I put a little extra money down in the second quarter when the Lakers were down 18 on the money line for the Lakers to win, and it looked like I was going to win some money on that because they looked good. And then fucking Paul George, man. Now I will say all credit to Paul George because he played great he played pretty good all game, but he played great in the second half. Finished with 33 points, 13 of 18 from the field. But man, I gave Kyle Kuzma a lot of credit in the preseason, and I said that they may have given him one of the best contracts in the NBA, and it's still a great contract. But Paul George sunned Kyle Kuzma tonight, and for some of it, Wes Matthews, but a lot of it was Kyle Kuzma. Like the Clippers were up 22 points in the first quarter. The Lakers came all the way back. I think they tied it at one point. I don't know if they ever took the lead, but then in the third quarter, Paul George just went absolutely apeshit when AD went out of the game, Kawhi went out of the game, and Kyle Kuzma was in the game guarding him. Paul George couldn't miss.
Yeah, apeshit's a good way to put it. He won the game for him. I'm actually, speaking of Kuzma, I'm actually shocked to see that he had 15 points. I know you're talking about his defense, but it seemed like he had an all-around bad game.
He late in the fourth, he got some trash time buckets when it was pretty much over. He played most of the fourth. Like, we could talk about it in a second because we're focusing on Paul George, but the fourth quarter for the Lakers didn't make a lot of sense to me rotation-wise. Like, Vogel substitutions didn't seem like a coach that was super concerned with winning this game, which maybe he wasn't. Probably not, but it was just weird. But yeah, PG, and it was funny because early in the first quarter when he passed that ball to the referee, he was getting crushed on Twitter.
I took a slow-mo. I was going to post that to Twitter. I thought about it. I couldn't get a good angle.
I mean, everybody.
That play was hilarious.
Got posted by a million people. He got crushed, man. He got crushed. And then comes back, looked great. I mean, this might have been the best he's looked since he's been on the Clippers.
I think so. Didn't he have a quote in the playoffs last year, something super straightforward about when he shoots the 3 better, it's good for the team or something? Like, he was 5 for 8 tonight, and really was the difference, I thought. Because without him, we were talking about the Lakers looked like they could have blown their doors off.
At the end of the first half, it looked like the Lakers were going to come out and blow out the Clippers. It just looked like it went from the first quarter where it was 39-19 Clippers, and at one point the Clippers were up by 22. The Lakers, and you know what? Kenny made a good point at halftime, which was like ring ceremony, a lot of emotions, come out slow, first game of the season. And then in the second half, it looked like the opposite. It looked like the Clippers didn't want to be there, and the Lakers were just going to blow them out. And essentially, they outplayed them the majority of the second, third, and fourth quarter, other than one guy. Paul George stepped up. But look, hey, Just brought him there for.
That's why you give guys like that a max contract.
That's why you get top 10 players, because one guy can get 33 and offset everybody else playing bad, including Kawhi Leonard, by the way. Despite 26 points, he did it on 26 shots. I thought Kawhi Leonard looked. I'll just go as far. I'll say it. I thought Kawhi Leonard looked really bad in this game.
So I watched the whole game. Like, I watched all 48 minutes, and I am actually stunned to see 10 for 26. I just felt like he was way more efficient than that. I mean, yeah, his stat line is not good at all.
1 of 8
from 3 is really concerning. Well, okay, nothing's really concerning right now in the first game.
Sure,
but it's not good. I mean, it's probably just a bad game, but he wasn't good tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he 1 of 8 from 3 is not good. 3 assists, 2 turnovers. Now, part of it was Anthony Davis guarded him for the majority of the game, and Anthony Davis, I mean, if he's going to play defense like that this year, like just guarding the best player regardless of position, just give him defense. I picked him for Defensive Player of the Year yesterday, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yeah,
just give it to him now. Mm-hmm. Just give it to him now, because what he did tonight was incredible. I mean, people are going to see that Kawhi had 26, and they're not going to watch the whole game. The Lakers' half-court defense is absolutely elite, and that's when they came back, is when they missed a ton of shots in the first quarter. The Clippers got out in transition, scored earlier buckets. They're getting into their early offense more, but when the Lakers were able to slow it down a little bit and make the Clippers play in the half-court, they couldn't do anything until Paul George went off.
Right, and that's kind of what made you made the point of Frank Vogel doing some confusing things in the fourth quarter. It really did seem like minutes for his start, like a minute cap, was more important than this. It looked like they punted on the game a little bit. Like LeBron only had 28 minutes, Anthony Davis 31, where it felt like if they pushed those guys, it would have at least been a lot closer.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, if this game mattered, and AD, let's see, how many minutes did AD end up playing? If AD
31. He
played 30. If this game mattered, he's playing 40 to 45 minutes, and I do think it ends up being a blowout in the end. Like, when it gets, if they, like, even later in the year, maybe they won't do it. But once we get to games that matter, and LeBron played 28 minutes, Anthony Davis played 30 minutes, like, I'm watching these two teams at their peak when the two best lineups are on the floor. The Lakers are just a better team.
Yeah.
And they're a more talented team. And when it matters, they would beat the Clippers if this game mattered. Mm-hmm. Anthony Davis didn't play the most of the fourth quarter, and then I think once Paul George went off, Vogel was just like, all right, I'm just going to leave LeBron on the bench. He didn't play Schroder a lot in the fourth quarter, who played great, I thought, in the first 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. Trez looks like I picked him to potentially, he was my sleeper for 6th man of the year for back-to-back. He looked great, and Gasol looked awful, so Trez is going to play a ton. But, man, this is the perfect scenario for Trez, right? There's no pressure of being one of the main guys like he was on the Clippers, but he gets to do the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. He looked really good for them.
His motor is just fantastic. I mean, that's the thing. Motor goes anywhere, It doesn't matter if he doesn't fit perfectly. His motor fits anywhere. And he showed that off tonight. I really liked what he and Dennis Schroder did in, like, the pick and roll a little bit, or just a two-man game. I forget who made the point. It was probably Reggie Miller on the broadcast that'll be fun to watch this year. It's kind of amazing. Like, one of these these weapons for the Lakers is going to be 2 new additions. Schroder and Trez in the pick and roll is a wrinkle that was, non-existent last year.
I was gonna say, like, I was actually more like, I thought Trez would fit in perfectly because Gasol is older and slower, and he's going to struggle in pick and rolls. He's going to get in foul trouble in games. He had 5 fouls tonight, so I thought Trez would come in immediately, and he fits well next to AD. I wondered how Schroder would fit in right off the bat, because he did score a ton of points last year in OKC, and he was asked to shoulder the load of scoring the ball. But he looked good. I mean, he looked comfortable. I mean, I know he was 5 of 14 from the field, but he was pushing a triple-double, 14, 10, and 6. That's a good first game. When they made their comeback in the second quarter, KCP looked great. KCP looks just like he did in the playoffs last year. I mean, everyone on that team looks ready to roll other than Kyle Kuzma. Like, Kuzma just did not look good from all across the board. What did he end up with? He ended up with 7 points. I mean, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3.
Who's that? Kuzma?
Yes.
Oh, I have him at 15 points here.
I don't know what you're looking at. I have him at I'm pretty sure he had 7.
Right. ESPN might be tripping here, and then.
I mean, I'm on NBA.com, and we're looking at NBA.com right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at ESPN. That's very strange. Okay.
So who's wrong?
I don't know. 23.7.
Well, how many points do they have for Paul George?
Paul George is at 33.
I don't know. The NBA.com, where do they have the rest of the Lakers at? I honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, 18 for AD, 22 for LeBron, Dennis Schroder with 14. It's weird. They have Kuzma with 27 minutes, and Kuzma has 23 on the screen here. So maybe the statistician at ESPN or NBA.com got confused. We'll clear that up for you.
Yeah, well, either way, I think is the point, right?
He didn't look very
regardless
good.
of
sure.
Yeah. But anyways, it's interesting too. Like coming out of this game, I honestly feel better about the Lakers than I do about the Clippers. I'm just
because of those fantastic stretches, right, that we saw. Like that second and third quarter stretch, they looked really good. The Lakers, that is.
Yes. Yeah. I think you saw what the talent level is going to be for that team. I think you saw a lot of the really good things that team's going to do this year. And obviously, like you said, the Lakers are the best team in the NBA. And so the Clippers or Kawhi struggling in a game, in one game, is not the end of the world. But I will say, watching the way they're trying to run their offense and watching the way he played and hearing Reggie Miller say that was the one who requested for them to put in triangle offense this year because he wants to play like MJ and Kobe, that's concerning to me because they did run a lot of ISO. I only saw them run one true triangle set, and they didn't even have enough patience to get all the way through it, and they swung it into a pick and roll with Kennard and Serge Ibaka, and Ibaka got an offensive foul. The rest of their triangle-ish sets were all like ISO plays, and Kawhi just, again, part of it is when he gets in those ISOs on the elbow or on the wing, everyone just stands and watches him. So when you're playing against good defensive teams, he's not a great passer. He's not a terrible passer, but if that's what their offense is going to be in the half court, that could be a struggle. And it's going to take a while if they're going to try to put in some of those triangle sets, which I don't think they're going to do a ton, for guys to figure out the nuances of it. He didn't look great. And, we've been concerned about what he was going to be in this offseason. Again, look, they won the game and they're playing the Lakers. So he had arguably the defensive player of the year in the NBA guarding him. So he gets a pass. It's one game, but coming out of it, I didn't like that it took Paul George really going at Kyle Kuzma for them to win this game. So I came out of it thinking like higher on the Lakers than I did on the Clippers, even though the Lakers lost.
Yeah, and I think the only reason we're saying that is because of the point we made about it. It looked like Vogel did not care that much about winning the game, right? I mean, that's the only reason you would be like, oh, the Lakers looked better in a loss. But I'm with you. The Clippers, it wasn't like the Clippers played fantastic, not even close, They came out with a win because Paul George went ballistic in the third. And, there's no overreactions on my end in either direction. Like, I think the Lakers are going to be just fine, and I'm still not totally sure how good the Clippers are going to be, but they're obviously going to be a very good team.
Serge is good for them. By the way, Serge does fit better for them than Trez because he's a better shooter, just as good. I mean, defensively he's good, and I think he's going to benefit them later in the year, like just as a leader and a guy who's been there with Kawhi, who's won a championship and been to multiple championships. They just didn't have any of that last year other than Kawhi, so it's good to have another guy who has won before. So I think he's going to be super valuable for them, and he played well. So that's a positive for them. I wonder, was this Kawhi that played tonight, was it a product of playing the Lakers, first game of the season, new offense, new coach, and being guarded by one of the best defenders in the NBA? Or is it something to keep an eye on? Is the situation not necessarily the best? Is he going to struggle? Yeah. I mean, if he averages 26, but he shoots 10 of 26 from the field, there's going to be concerns there, and they're going to lose games off of that.
Yeah.
Because Paul George, we know, is not getting 33 on 13 of 18 from the field every night.
No. Maybe Kawhi got stuck in traffic on his way up from San Diego and was just all out of sorts.
That's true. Yeah.
We should check the traffic reports before you're going to play him in FanDuel. Yeah.
That's true, and just for the betting purposes, we take the under on his points. All right. Well, obviously first game of the season, good win for the Clippers, but doesn't matter a ton for the Lakers to lose that game. And I think we also figured the Lakers would have lulls this season anyways. Like we said, like last year, LeBron came out planning to play every single game on a mission to prove, that they were a championship team. This year, a little bit different. They've won it, and they're trying to get their other. What was it? What did I say before we came on the air? Like, it's not shocking that Frank Vogel was messing with lineups and rotations, because when Jeannie Buss was giving out the rings and she shouted out all the guys that weren't there to get their rings, it was like 10 guys. Mm-hmm. Like, they're almost turned over their entire roster other than Talon Horton Tucker, Caruso, Kuzma, AD, and LeBron. Everyone else is like new.
Yeah.
So it'll take a minute, but they're going to be there's nothing about the product I saw on the court from them that makes me believe they won't be in the finals again.
I think that's fair. I mean,
I know it's one game.
Going to compete for
and
it.
they lost.
100%.
But.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to panic in either LA situation.
Yep. All right, the first game of the night was Nets Warriors. Nets, I think we established that the Nets dog walked the Warriors in this one.
Yeah. With like an element of butt smokery in there. It was ugly.
125-99 in KD's first game first game he's played on the Nets. What were your initial thoughts just watching this one? I have a bunch of notes because I knew this was the early game, so I got to look back. I'm looking back on them, but what were your thoughts?
I mean, my initial thought was just kind of like reiterating what I saw in preseason, that Kevin Durant is 210%. I mean, his numbers don't indicate it because he didn't play in the fourth quarter, but I mean, he just looked fantastic. He can get a good shot whenever he wants, as usual. Kyrie, as much as I can't stand the guy, he's just so goddamn talented. They came out, they just put 40 on them in the first quarter. And let's get this clear too. Golden State did not look good at all. Like, Brooklyn looked fantastic, but the Warriors looked bad. So, it's again, we don't want to overreact too much to the Nets, but it looks really clear to me that you've been spot on with exactly how dangerous they're going to be. I've just kind of been like refusing to view the Nets as like this title contender until I saw them, and then tonight was really all I needed to see. They're unbelievable.
I think we'll learn at least a little bit more about them on Christmas when they play the Celtics.
Definitely.
Yes, we have to temper a lot of what we saw in this game because, first of all, you're talking about a Warriors team that not only doesn't have their best defensive player in Draymond, but doesn't have their second best defensive player in Klay Thompson, starting a rookie 19-year-old center, and Andrew Wiggins, who essentially it looks like a G League player at this point.
Totally lost.
So the Brooklyn, I saw some one writer who I follow, who I respect, was like, everybody calm down in like the second quarter. Is like, the Nets should be scoring more points if you really look at it, like how bad this Warriors team is. But I think the thing that I underestimated, that I didn't really think about with the Warriors coming into this game, is they may have the worst bench in the NBA. Their bench is absolutely horrendous. And when Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre shoot 7 of 30 from the field and 2 of 8 from 3 combined, right? And Steph shoots 2 of 10 from 3, of course it's going to be a blowout. The only way this team's winning games this year is if they shoot the ball. And if those two guys aren't shooting the ball well, they're fucked. Like, Steph's going to shoot the ball well, but if Oubre and Wiggins aren't shooting the ball well, they're done. And by the way, people were crushing Wiggins for how bad he was. Kelly Oubre was just as bad.
Yeah.
The only reason he didn't get crushed is because every time he scored, it was a dunk.
Mm-hmm.
And he played more aggressive. Yeah, like there were cool dunks and whatever, but like this team, if Steph doesn't play like 40 minutes a game, I don't see how this team. I got to be honest, I am overreacting, and I know that the Nets are a great team and are going to be a great team. If Steph Curry doesn't play like 35, 40 minutes a game, maybe right around 40, I'm not sure how this team is a playoff team. They're going to lose games, man. They're not. When Steph's not on the floor, they cannot score the basketball, and Draymond is not going to make that better.
I was going to say Draymond. I mean, we need to evaluate them with Draymond, and then I mean they do have a lot of new faces. I'm not ready to I still think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, but the new faces were the new faces. Andrew Wiggins, who looked like he shouldn't be on an NBA basketball court. Kelly Oubre is good. It's fine, but like. As much as we like that pickup for them, we're never saying like Kelly Oubre is going to be a star. He's a very good player. He's a starter in the NBA.
I'm really high on Kelly Oubre. I think tonight was a really bad game. I don't know. I don't know if they have the worst bench in the league. They looked horrible. Like there's no way. But I'm not.
Kent Bazemore couldn't play for the Hawks.
Yeah, Kent Bazemore looks toast. But I'm
like saying he played
Eric
minutes.
Pascal is like has some upside.
Juan Toscano Anderson played 13 minutes for them, and he looked better than Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah,
this bench is bad. Now and also when Draymond comes back, it's not like the bench gets that much better because Eric Pascal goes to the bench, and he's a good player. That doesn't like boost your bench that much. So I say all this just to say we can temper a little bit what we saw from Brooklyn, and I think. Offensively, they did what I expect them to be. They're going to be an explosive offensive team. I don't think they were tested even a little bit defensively because, honestly, a lot of those threes that those guys missed were wide open threes. They just missed shots. So I'll be interested to see how Brooklyn's defense really is when they play a team, particularly on Friday, when they play a team that's played together, that's been to the conference finals, that has one of the most talented players in the NBA. I mean, obviously Steph, but like a player who can challenge KD a little bit more and plays KD's position because it's going to be Tatum and KD matched up at the 4. That's a fun matchup.
That's going to be really fun to watch on Christmas.
But for Brooklyn, yeah, I mean, offensively, my thing, to your point on Kyrie, I wrote, he is remarkable as Robin. When he doesn't have to be Batman, because the thing is like everyone was freaking out about how well he played in this game and how he shot the ball and all that. He had 50 on opening night last year, but they lost with basically the same roster other than KD to the T-Wolves. So like it shouldn't be a surprise when people see Kyrie do these things, but now he's doing them with Kevin Durant. So now he's doing it on a championship level team because he has a championship MVP level player with him. And he doesn't have to be Batman, so he can just go do his thing. And his thing is pretty fucking talented.
It's so electric when he's shooting really well, which he is often because he's a fantastic shooter. It's just like electric. You can't give him a step, which opens up the blow by. Like he just had it all working tonight. Again, bad defensive team, but you're right. I mean, this is a huge problem for teams in the East to defend this team. I don't. Maybe that's my overreaction of the night. Like, I just think they're deadly.
Well, offensively, yeah, no, you're right. Offensively, they are an absolutely deadly team. I'll be interested to see how they defend. I picked the over in this game, which was another one of my bets that I was wrong on because I overestimated the Warriors a little bit. But again, they shot the ball terribly, so this could have been just an outlier for them, and maybe they will be a better offensive team once they get to. I don't think the Nets are this good defensively. I don't think they will be all year,
right.
But they will. They're going to outscore everybody. They're probably going to score around 126 every night, 125, whatever.
How did you think DeAndre Jordan looked? Because I thought he looked pretty spry, and like even if you don't have the best wing defenders, like if you have a really good rim protector, that can go a long way.
Hey, 11 rebounds, and he protects the rim. Yeah, no, he is going to be helpful. I just, you still have KD at the 4 and Kyrie and Joe Harris out there who are really non-defenders.
Yeah.
But I will say this, on the opposite end of what I said about the Warriors, Brooklyn probably has the best bench in the NBA. I mean,
I think that they do. I'm ready to commit to that for sure.
I mean, first of all, Karis LeVert and Jared Allen could start for basically almost any other teams in the well, Karis for sure. Like Karis LeVert. We talked about this before we came on here too. If the Rockets, and we'll talk about the Rockets very briefly at the end of the show, but if the Rockets are looking around and they saw Karis LeVert tonight, and they're not pulling the trigger on Karis LeVert and on all these other pieces, they're idiots. Karis LeVert is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert could be the leading scorer on a good team in the NBA. Now, he's not going to be the best player on a championship team, but he could be a really good player on a play. I mean, he was a really good player on a playoff team last year without these guys. He is a stud. If you could get him with Jared Allen, who is looking to prove himself and may have really fucked up by not signing an extension, because if he's only going to play 19 minutes a night, he ain't getting a bigger deal next year.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see what happens there. But their bench of Karis LeVert, Landry Shamet, who could probably start for some teams because he's a good shooter, Jared Allen, Taurean Prince, Jeff Green. They don't even Rodion Kurucs started like the majority of games for them last year. Didn't even play till trash time.
Mm-hmm. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot, like I still think he has upside.
That 1-3 he made looked pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who could have used that 3. The Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, Brooklyn. You know what's fun about Brooklyn? Seeing Steve Nash coach basketball. That was fun. I was happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, for all man, I actually thought of the Stephen A. Smith jackass comment of like, I think he took a shot after he got hired, like saying he skipped the line and stuff. It's pretty clear Steve Nash looks awesome, like as a coach. Like this team is super fun to watch already after one game.
Well, Steve Kerr, he said they asked him about playing the Nets in the first game, and he said, "This is what I guess I'm getting what I deserve because I used to coach a team like that."
Yeah.
So, you know, Nash looks good as a head coach, but also he's coaching Kevin Durant.
Right.
Like a healthy Kevin Durant. KD, the way he looked tonight, I mean, he's going to be right in the MVP conversation this year.
Yep.
He's going to be. If he plays the way he looked tonight, he's going to be in that because he had 22 points in 24 minutes. And I understand Kyrie had more. And Kyrie had 26 in 25 minutes. But we know what Kyrie is. Next game he might go 1 for 15. Like KD's in. If he stays healthy, like he looks, he's gonna do it every night.
Every single shot Kevin Durant takes is a good shot. It's insane. Like he's so long. He's flat out unguardable. And
that's why when he's healthy, he's the best scorer in the NBA, and it's not even close. And people can make arguments like Harden obviously is an incredible and unique scorer, but Kevin Durant can score from anywhere on the court at any time, so he's the best scorer. It's pretty wild. It's great that
It's so good to have him back healthy.
Charles Barkley said on the halftime show what we've been saying is that usually guys who struggle to come back from Achilles are guys who are heavy big men who have a lot of weight and need that and they re-injure themselves. KD looks like he weighs $150. Like
seriously.
You know, he might just be back. And I guess Nash said that he's only 90% back, which is kind of scary.
That has to be no way. I mean, come on. He looks exactly the same. I mean, if he is, that's even more terrifying.
Yeah.
For the East, but
yeah. But so there you go. I mean, yeah. Nets are going to they're going to win a ton of games. We'll see how I will be very interested to see Friday night how their defense looks if they can play good defense against a good team, because the Warriors looked awful, and it could be a one-off, but I was very concerned about the Warriors in this. I will say, you texted me that you didn't think Wiseman looked super comfortable early on, and I saw people on Twitter sort of going back. Like some people were like, he looks great. Some people said he looked uncomfortable. I thought he looked really good, and I know that I know the parts you were talking about where he looked uncomfortable, but that's also just partially he didn't play in the preseason. He's 19 years old, 20 years old, playing in his first NBA game against a team that is one of the favorites to win an NBA championship this year. Like, he's going to be
more what I meant. Yeah.
He's going to be he's going to be uncomfortable, but he finished with 19 points and he's huge. He's bigger than I thought he was. He is going to guzzle rebounds for that team.
He moves really well too. He really does.
You know what? I will give Brooklyn credit on this. And I meant to say this about their defense. And this could also be partially why the Warriors struggled so much. One thing that the Nets did really well tonight was they got back in trend. So when I worked for Steve Clifford, right? And this is not like unique to Steve Clifford, but we didn't it just you'd be shocked to find out when Mike Dunlap was the coach, we didn't have a lot of defensive principles. But his biggest thing was anytime a shot goes up, no, unless a ball bounced to you, we don't go to the glass. We don't go to the offensive glass. As soon as it goes up, don't look at the fucking ball. Get back. Get back on defense. So a lot of those early rebounds that you saw Wiseman getting, there was no one around, right? And part of that was because every time the Nets put up a shot, boom, 5 guys got back. And because of that, the Warriors were not able to get out and get a lot of those easy transition buckets that they're known for, which is get out, get those easy early buckets. So a lot of their shots came in the half court, which is probably partially why they weren't always as good as they normally are. I mean, I think they only finished with like 12 fast break points in the game. So, that's a good sign for the Nets as a defensive team because it just shows, 12 fast break points. That shows discipline early on. But
I mean, when you're going to be this fantastic offensively, why crash the offensive? It's not like you need to get these scrappy buckets. Like, you're going to put up a shitload of points, so get back on D. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, and KD even alluded to it after the game when his post-game interview was brutal, but he did not want to be there. But he sort of alluded to that being one of their things, like getting back on defense, which is a common thing around the league. Like everybody, they say get back on defense, but what I noticed was as soon as shots went up, it wasn't like, okay, everybody wait to see what happens and then get back. It's the shot goes up. We don't wait to see what happens. We get back on defense. And they did a really good job of that in this game. So, that's partially could be why Golden State struggled. I'll give Brooklyn a little bit of credit there, but I do want to see what they do against a better team.
Fair, very fair.
So, but speaking of, so I mentioned if the Rockets were watching that game tonight, that they should be calling to get Karis LeVert immediately. Well, even more so probably because there's reports now that James Harden has been getting into altercations with his teammates at practice, and apparently he threw a ball at Jayshawn Tate that missed, but still, I mean, this thing is becoming even more of a shit show.
Dude, is there any chance the Nets are just like, we're good. We don't want, and I'm not talking about from a talent standpoint, but what if they just don't want the headache that appears to be James Harden right now when they know their bench they probably have the best bench in the league right now. I mean, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and the best bench in basketball sounds like a championship formula. So why would you then
Yeah, I agree.
I don't. James Harden really might be hurting himself.
Well, look, and we'll see again. I think if you see if the Nets come out on Friday, this is why this first game didn't mean a ton to me, because they're playing the Warriors, and we don't know what the Warriors are yet. We think the Warriors could be a playoff team, but they may actually just suck again. We don't know. We don't know how it's all going to fit. But what we do know is the Celtics are a really good team. And if the Nets come out on Friday and beat the shit out of the Celtics, which I don't think they will, but you never know, they could, then they may just call it off and just be like, we're out. We have no reason to make this trade. It doesn't make us better. It actually guts us when we're one of the deeper teams in a weird year where you never know when we're going to need that depth.
Very true. Yeah.
What happened? You look at this team, the Nets in the Eastern Conference, and now we're not even talking about Harden anymore. But I just brought this topic up just to sort of,
because it's funny. First of all,
well, it's funny. It's absurd, but also these teams that are thinking about getting him, you got to think about that. If you're the Heat, which apparently, obviously, the reports came out that the Heat are not part of this either, but you also have to think about that if you're the Heat. if they're asking you for like 4 or 5 guys to get Harden, and then you bring in Harden, Harden's a pain in the ass, but also 1 or 2 of your guys gets COVID in the middle of the season. Now you don't have depth. Like you're in trouble. That's part of what the Nets got to think about too, probably, right? Like if they give up LeVert and Dinwiddie and Jared Allen and whoever, right? And then it's a shit show. And then like right now, the way the Nets are built, one or two guys could sit out for 2 weeks and they'll be fine. They're going to win games in the East.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, yeah. Kyrie Irving, sore knee, you plug Karis LeVert, like they really are not injury proof, but that depth. I mean,
they went to the playoffs last year without these guys.
Yeah.
So that's proof that they can do it. But yeah, the more these type of reports come out, the more I'm like, maybe he doesn't get traded and the Rockets are fucked. Somebody will trade for him. He's too talented to not do it, but the value of what they're going to get
Well, I think
goes down more and more.
James Harden's going to get fucked because he's not making the case to join a championship team right now. Like championship teams don't want to bring in guys throwing basketballs at people.
Right. That's true. That's fair. All right. The last thing before we get our bets for tonight, for Wednesday night. So Adam Silver said today that the 2022 draft's only going to have 59 picks because they stripped the Bucks of their pick in their second round pick. And look, ultimately, let's say the Bucks pick is like in the 50s, their second round pick. Mm-hmm. A guy who goes in the 50s is just as likely to get signed to an undrafted free agent contract, right? But I think this is a bullshit move by the NBA because 60 players get to hear their name called every year. Why should one college kid potentially have the dream of his name being called during the draft get taken away because the Bucks cheated? Like, it's fucking stupid. Yeah. Like, figure out a way. Give the worst team in the league the 60th pick. I don't give them an extra pick. Like, isn't that part of evening out shit anyways? Like, that year, whoever's the worst team, just give them an extra second round pick. Who gives a shit? Like, the 60th pick, I think it's only been successful once ever. Isaiah Thomas. Mm-hmm. Like, but to take the opportunity for a kid to get his name called on draft night, even though being a late second round pick, you're probably going to get cut anyways. It's stupid that they take that away from one of these kids as opposed to just giving it to a shitty team that could use it to make the league more potentially more competitive.
You think if we wrote handwritten letters to Adam Silver, like try to get a movement, if all of our listeners, we could turn this thing around? I mean,
yeah, and all 3 of our viewers right now on YouTube.
Brendan Haverfield, we see you. I don't know what your comment's about, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was bullshit. All right, let's do our picks. So we both started off 0-3 on night one. Not a great start.
It's not us, man. It just isn't us.
Well, it's opening night, and it just
the Lakers boned us with the minutes.
Look again.
I'm already making excuses.
Well, but here's the thing. Look, I had the over at 231.5 in the Warriors Nets game, and the final was 125-99. So it was 114 points, 214 points. Kelly Oubre, Steph Curry, and Andrew Wiggins combined to go 4 of 18 from 3. How do you account for that?
You can't.
Can't account for
Vegas did somehow.
And then it was Kevin Durant. I had Kevin Durant 39 a total. 39 points, rebounds, and assists. He had 30 total in 24 minutes. He only played 24 minutes because it was a blowout.
The blowout really boned both of us pretty bad.
Yeah. And then the rotations, right? Like the Lakers looked like they were going to come back and just blow the doors off of the Clippers in the second half, and then Paul George just made Kyle Kuzma his son. And then there was nothing we can do about it. So you know what? That means we come back tonight and we do better.
Exactly. We find a way.
We find a way. Do you have your picks for tonight?
I do, yeah. You want me to run through my 3 first?
Yeah. I mean, you did your 3 first last night, so I could do my 3.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Hold on. Actually, let me... My notepad here. Okay. I'm going to go Wizards. I'm taking the Wizards plus 7.5 versus Philly. That's a huge number. for a team that just got. I don't care if it's their first game, everyone playing together. It's a huge number for a team that has Russell Westbrook and Brad Beal.
Yeah.
Like
against a team with a new coach,
and a lot of new players too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 7.5 is a massive number. I don't understand that number. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe we don't know that. I think everyone's playing. They all played in the preseason, other than actually in the last game. Maybe Rui was the only one who didn't play, but Russ and Bertans both played in the last game. So I don't see a scenario where they lose by 7.5. In fact, I considered taking them outright, but I'm just going to go 7.5 right now because I don't understand the line. My other one is Hornets -2 over the Cavs.
Okay.
It's at 2.5 now, so I'll take 2.5. That's fine. I think the Cavaliers are going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. I mean, I don't think. I know they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And the Hornets, well, they're not going to be great. Like, this is I feel pretty confident in this one because at least with the Hornets, you have a young, pretty hungry team with some talented players who basically are all the same from last year other than LaMelo, and they have the same coach. So there's continuity. At one point last year, they were like a borderline playoff team. So they have young talent. They could be decent this year, and the Cavs are going to be awful. So I think they'll beat them by at least 3 on opening night. And then my last one, this one's tough because it opened at 3.5. Then it went to 5.5. Now it's Heat -4.5 against Orlando. And that actually is kind of a big number against a Steve Clifford team in Orlando. But home court advantage doesn't really mean much anymore with no fans. And Coach Cliff is a great coach. But I just feel like, not that the bulletin board material thing, I don't know if I really buy into it totally. Like, I feel like most of the time players they're either motivated or they're not. But I do feel like particularly this Heat team, they got so many questions this offseason about whether or not they were a fluke, and people saying they were a fluke in the bubble and all this shit. Like, I could see them coming out here and dog walking them and winning by like 15.
Yeah. What was the number you had it at? -4.5?
I got them at 4.5. So I'm going to take the Heat -4. So I'm taking Wizards +7.5, Hornets -2.5, Heat -4.5 Wednesday night.
Okay. I like them. We had one that was the same, which was the Heat.
Wait. Oh, really?
Oh.
I would have assumed that you were putting all your money on Washington +7.5.
No, I'm rooting for the Sixers. Like I know.
Of course, I know that. Oh, I know that, but I just don't. I feel like you don't have faith in them.
I don't have faith in them. That was almost one of the 3, but I got the Heat at -3.5, which I love.
Okay.
That point can
so you got them when it opened because I saw it earlier in the day, and then I actually checked during the game tonight. Mm-hmm. During the early game, it was all the way up to 5.5.
Wow.
Now it's back down to 4.5.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, the Heat, they just looked so like they've got something special going on. Maybe that really truly was a bubble thing and it wears off, but they just look awesome. I'm confident in that one. Then I'm going Celtics +3.5. I just think against the Bucks. I mean,
at home.
And this is a big continuity type bet. I know the Celtics lost Gordon Hayward.
Is Kemba healthy?
I believe so, but I'm not. I should probably check that before I lay actual money on it. But no, it's more.
And
about,
also before you make it a pick to our listeners. But.
No, a lot has to do with how Brad Stevens and the Celtics defense.
Wait, no, Kemba's not. Remember, isn't Kemba not playing till January?
Shoot, that may be the case, but it's not about Kemba.
Right, okay.
It's about Giannis not being able to shoot.
It's about my pick for most improved player.
Which was
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart. No, it's not about Marcus Smart. It's about the defense.
10 hours ago, Boston.com, 10 hours ago, Kemba Walker's still a long way away from return from knee procedure.
Can I continue?
I'm just trying to help you here.
Boston does an excellent job of exposing dudes that can't shoot. We've seen it when they play Ben Simmons. They're going to make Giannis beat them by stretching the floor, and I don't think he's going to do it. We've talked about that ad nauseum, how we don't think Giannis is going to stretch his game out there. And I think the Celtics are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is all they need to beat that team, and they've got some new pieces, a brand new point guard I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks get off to like a slower than usual start for them. So Celtics plus 3.5.
Okay.
And my last bet of the night is Pelicans plus 4. And I just feel good about it.
Against the Tampa Bay Raptors.
It's the Tampa Bay Raptors. I don't know. I just think that Serge Ibaka loss is going to be a lot for them. I don't think they're the same team. Fred VanVleet, he doesn't even. I don't even think he likes basketball anymore now that he got his money. Wasn't that his quote or something?
It's very possible. Who knows?
What if Fred VanVleet comes out and is like just way bigger? Like is just like a fat guy now.
Well, he played in preseason.
I didn't see him. So
he had a pretty good game actually, but I mean, this is one of those teams that I did say is a potential, like, could miss the playoffs. They could fall off so bad. I don't think they will, but man, again, Raptors fans are gonna see what it's really like to have Fred VanVleet making $20 million a year or whatever the fuck he's making now. Like, he was great when he was on a rookie second round pick rookie contract or whatever he was, but now that he got paid, there's going to be a lot of nights where you're like, what did we do?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
What is happening? Also, like, I know Kyle Lowry is pretty loyal to that organization, but man, if they're bad and it's towards the end of his career, is he going to want out of there? Does he want to go through a rebuild if they end up having to rebuild? Because, again, they don't really have much depth or a ton of talent. Like, they have Fred VanVleet, Siakam, and OG Anunoby, and after that, I mean, I don't want to hear people in the comments bringing up Norm Powell to me. Okay,
I
don't need that shit.
There's a huge Norm Powell.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Norm Powell is a very average NBA player. Like, it's fine. I would take him on my team, but I wouldn't call him a young up and coming talent for my team. Like, right. You got 3 players, and one of them shit the bed in the playoffs last year and is about to be on a huge, gigantic contract. One is 5'11" and plays 2 guard, and one just signed his rookie extension. So we'll see what happens with him, right? And OG Anunoby.
I meant to bring OG Anunoby only averaged like 10 points a game last year, right? Like he's.
Oh no, I know.
Like he's.
They're living off that buzzer beater.
Yeah,
that he hit in the playoffs.
I'm not like an OG Anunoby hater. I just don't think he's that great. He's fine.
He's just fine.
Yeah,
he's fine. I don't think he's making any type of huge leap. I think what Raptor fans are sort of hoping is that he makes a Siakam kind of leap. But I don't think he has the same skill set.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
He's a better two-way player. He's a great defender. I just don't think he's ever going to be like a great offensive player that you're going to depend on night in and night out. Exactly. So Pelicans, I like the Pelicans.
That's some points.
Did you check? Like, is everyone playing for the Pelicans? Are you sure? Do you know?
As far as I know, yeah. As far as I know.
Okay. Lonzo, hey, look. Lonzo, no extension. He's coming out guns blazing. Guy's looking to cash out or cash in. I don't know what it is.
Cash out, I believe.
He's looking to cash out. So hey, it might be a great pick. Might be a great pick.
I think I'm going 3-0 tonight. Maybe I'll parlay this shit. No.
You know who else? You know who is absolutely looking to go 3-0 tonight for you?
He has no neck. He doesn't have a neck. Doesn't need one.
I mean, we haven't been taking that into account. It's his first game back as a head coach in the NBA. My man. He is not. I don't think he's losing in his first game back.
No. Those guys are going to be playing their ass off for him.
Zion, I tell you what, Zion looks good in the preseason. Zion might average 30, and it's all going to be on layups where he takes off in the middle of the paint.
And like 23 foul shots a game.
Yeah, it's gonna be absurd. And then they're gonna lose in the playoffs because he can't shoot. But hey, at least he got them there. At least they're back. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Basketball's back, man.
Basketball's back. It was a fun first night. You know how many games are tonight? There's 13. How do we do this show with 13 games? I'm not really sure, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow night.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody watching. We will see you around the same time tomorrow or tonight.
Later.